everybody dance, don't stop. I just need a minute to find out what I'm feeling, cause I'm about to go nuts. And my demon's trying to say what's up. I've been waiting for this my whole life. Wanna do it again 3 or 4 times, cause it's better than a dream. Highway with young lean, I will never get enough. So what a nice surprise. You're all I ever had in mind. I'm happy in the sky, a big case of desire. I will never say goodbye. That's right. That's right. That's right. I wanna be yours. Wanna be yours. Tell the bodies to pull up. There's a party, we can go all night. I will show you how to run the red light. If you wanna, you can call me mine. Somewhere on the highway, under the starlight, you tuck me in your arms tight. Damn, it feels right. So what a nice surprise. You're all I ever had in mind.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, everybody in between, up, down, here, there, about, and all around the world, welcome. This is the last game of the pool stages for these two teams. They're looking to fight their way into the semi-finals and beyond of the UK National Championships tomorrow, and we've got another geographic battle to back us up here on the pitches of Nottingham as the Northerners SMOG look to bring that dark cloud over the high-flying hot air balloons of Bristol's. Those rats like their pollution, but how will they handle the breeze up north? We will find out. I am Lorcan Murray. I am joined by the one, the only, Hannah Pendlebury. Hannah, what are you expecting in this matchup?
Spice. Absolute spice. So Bristol have had a really interesting campaign so far, of course, at Tom's Tourney. They took that big old scalp.
You know what? They've never mentioned it.
Only a couple of times. But yeah, no, a team on the rise. They've done some solid recruitment. They're everyone kind of wants to go and play for the boys coming out of the southwest these days, the Rats. And it's been a really interesting season so far. Of course, they're looking for the EUCS ranking points to get themselves in the standings at the later part of the season. They gave a big old pasting to Kapow this morning, 15-10 the score in that game. And of course, SMOG falling but 1 point in universe, nearly the full cap of that. So 15-14. That game went to earlier on today. So perhaps there's an advantage for SMOG. So, no, I say Bristol coming into this matchup, but at the moment, Bristol sitting in the potential bid section of the EUCS ranking points. So they'll be looking to try and get as many big scorelines as they can against fellow European season opponents.
Just as we get ready to get started, Hannah, who did you say SMOG had the universe point victory over?
No, they lost.
Or
to
lost
Chevy.
to? Which
Chevron
just
Action
goes
Flash.
to show you, reigning national champions. And there's a quick turnover. I don't think many people expected that. Sam Cam and Chris Allen trying to connect. Just getting a little bit ahead of themselves and falling behind.
Well, a golden opportunity here. And of course, SMOG just watched their women's team do a handy comeback against SICK in the women's division. So maybe they can use that as inspiration fuel.
Slater across to Jenkins. Jenkins tries to throw it into the end zone, but it's an immediate turnover, and Bristol look to get going right back in the opposite direction. Andrew Warnock feeds it into the middle. I'm waiting for him. Allen gets it across, and this is quick play from Bristol. Sam Cameron wastes no time. He's launching it deep. He wants Dryden, and he nearly gets him.
Yeah, massive play from Nate Dryden. Which I'm going to go with that kind of name. Sounds like a North American friend.
It sounds a little American. There's an alternative strip that Bristol have that looks very American club team to me as well. There are a couple of visiting Americans. Riley Ross, I believe, number 29 for SMOG, Californian import. And SMOG in their own end zone, but looking for a little bit of breathing room. Lots of pressure being ratcheted up. That stall count's getting higher. They're forced to launch it deep, looking for space. If it stays in bounds, it'll be incredible. It's not great.
It's not incredible.
It's not great.
It's very credible. So you see Cy Hill there.
Very believable throw from SMOG.
So yeah, Nate Dryden apparently the way into his heart is food, according to his Instagram presence.
Great way into most people's hearts. Well, their stomachs anyway. And Andrew Warnock picking it up. So Bristol, like you say, really collecting players from all over the UK and further afield. Is another quick turnover. And SMOG have a chance to get right back at it. I do not think SMOG expected to get this many bites at the opening point. Let's see if they can sink their teeth into it. The quick cut, but nothing really availing. Jenkins goes back into the middle instead. Bird shoots for the far side, but the wind was pushing that down all the time. Sorry, that was Edward Simpson even. Yeah,
Simpson there also just kind of trying to throw the players open in the deep space, not really getting that eye contact, just thinking, well, someone should be there, right?
There's Warnock to Allen. Allen's calling, somebody needs to make this closer cut. We are going into the wind. Beautiful throw from Allen to sit that up. Cameron had all the time in the world to chase it down into a power position, and a searing break on his own accord to Hughes. Hughes pops it back. Bristol working their way down this tight sideline. Mason into the centre. And the quick throw around to Dryden. He's just able to take that away. Allen wants the pop in, doesn't take it straight away. There's the option to throw a scuba over the top. Instead, he just resets, the sensible decision. Cameron. Dryden. And that works out much better than the Huck. 1-0 to Bristol.
Well, there you have it. Took a couple of asks to get there, but they did indeed punch that one in. And yeah, so Nate Dryden, it sounds like a North American name, and he does indeed hail from Boise, Idaho, if the internet is to be believed.
Is that where Slipknot are from?
That's a really good question. I actually don't know off the top of my head, which is scandalous because I'm quite into them. Big part of my gym playlist.
They are a great gym band to help you get the spirits rising. And Bristol to help them get their spirits rising at the start of this game. Injured player Robin was seen sitting on a PA system and just yelling general abuse over the music like he's running an amusement stall at a fairground.
Is that handsome Robin of ex-Devon fame?
Yes, yes, I believe it is. I'm not sure if that's ever what I would call him, but big shots as well.
Have you not seen the man?
Big time hooker. Yeah. Played it with him in Bristol for a while.
Indeed, and he was
played with him
Windmill.
Technically on a Devon team.
He was at Windmill in an absolutely fantastic outfit on the Saturday night. Some real hippie baggy pants going on.
I think that's just how he dresses. I think he was just walking around cash.
Well, definitely gives a good interview. We can say that from Windmill last year. But yeah, Devon having actually sniped a couple of hands from the Devon roster of old as that sensational pull will land but roll out of the back eventually.
That's actually a really interesting change. It used to be the best of Bristol will get siphoned off to play for Devon. And about 2-3 years ago, there was a switch. Bristol really wanted to focus on themselves. Devon, their older generation, graduated. They have the Air Badgers program down there, but not quite as many of them funneling through, so they fell off a bit. And Bristol, last year, perennial third power in the country, as SMOG struggled to get things going upwind as well.
Well, it was also a thing of, so Bristol managed to collect a couple of personnel from Chevy's roster as well, because of course Chevron, always famously that northern southern geo team with the two little pods that would come together.
As you see Bristol trying to come together in front of the end zone, they struggle going upwind. They get a little bit lucky going the opposite direction. The bobble and catch by Dominic Jolly, and he pops it in for the score.
That's more than a little bit lucky. Game of pinball for one for Dom Jolly. Wow.
I think that might be the first time anyone's called him Dominic in about 6 years.
I was going to say it's...
Nice little Sioux celebration from Bristol. and they go 2-0 up. The red jerseys want to announce themselves on the European stage, want to be able to play at the highest level and legitimately challenge for titles. Now, they frequently run into the buzzsaw that is the Bullfrogs of Clapham when they play in the regional qualifiers, but they're still trying to find their way, like you said, taking a few of those Chevy players, but again, those are players located closer to Bristol. What Bristol effectively did was annex their locality and say, look, we're good enough now, let's just all commit to this one team in this one place. And the results have been noticeable, if not satisfying for them, shall we say. Here comes the big pull. SMOG, of course, playing in the open division like you mentioned earlier. Their women were on stream. Got quite a big win over SICK, as I understand it, but more traditionally known as a mixed team. There's the big shot. They were throwing them up early. They'll be throwing them up late, it seems, and it's collected on the other end. Absolutely on purpose. Beautifully done. Sam Griffiths chasing that one all the way down.
I'm not sure that was the intended target, but certainly Mike Richardson there, the defender, caught sleeping on that sort of, closer into the central of the pitch section. Just thinking, well, that's not my matchup that's racing towards the Frisbee. Oh no, quickly, no, it is my matchup that's racing towards the Frisbee. But a fantastic execution of the throw from Nick Williams there, of course, has represented Great Britain many a time at the seniors level. But yeah, scooping through, backing up your teammates is so crucial, especially in today's conditions. Sam Griffiths there making no such mistakes.
Nick Williams, a name that really rings out around GB and even further afield, has established himself at many levels, but probably one of the few recognisable people on this SMOG Open team.
It's a fair shout, There are a couple of faces on there that indeed we're used to seeing at the upper echelons of Ultimate, but SMOG have been slowly growing their programme. Of course, this is their first season in a while that they've put together open and women's teams. No mixed action for them this year, just committing to those. Of course, back in the post-pandemic world of the league of games, those top 6 teams playing against each other, and then the cup format that we used for national qualifiers became a we see Robin there helping his teammates field the pool.
Always contributing, even when he's injured. Absolutely.
Who delivereth. But of course, the big splash in the women's division that particular year was the SMOG women's team. But in terms of SMOG veterans, look out for the fiery locks of Harry Glasspool.
On defense right now and getting tested by Adam Vaslet. Now he's coming under and almost looked like a chance. But Vaslet doing a real undercut by faking deep very significantly. Gets it back to Warnock in the middle. Low down grab, but made look comfortable. And then just dicey outside of the end zone. That is Miller. He came back from an injury to play this season. Had to watch from the sidelines in Europe last year. He's watching from the ground as Warnock tries to make him eat some dirt.
Yeah, Millar, formerly of Bristol University. That was almost like he was trying to do the worm on the pitch.
Mythico? Is that the name of the Bristol Uni
Mythico,
team?
indeed. One of the few programs that's not been rebranded with University of Blank.
Allen jumps through, steals it away, and then throws for the goal in the end zone. Comfortably collected by Jack Hughes.
Yeah, looking very comfortable indeed. That is another on the board for Bristol. 3-1 their lead now. But that wasn't the easiest shout. In fact, we have yet to see a single clean hold from Bristol's O-line. They prefer to just, shake off some of that rhythm with a one turnover peppered in there just for funsies.
See how quickly they want to get this back, not even letting off a single throw. Chris Allen just jumps the inside shoulder, takes it away from intended receiver Jacob Holmes, and then the nice, easy finish. So strategy-wise, both teams seem happy to jack it, but don't seem so adept to bring it down on the other side.
Well, early stage of the game, just, feeling out your opposition. So you see, I think is that Dom Knight in the ski goggle glasses. Seems to have played for every club team going at this point.
He is playing with, I think he's playing with Bristol, yeah.
think his
You
last,
are correct. Yeah,
his
that is
last
Dom Knight.
home was Reading mixed, if I remember correctly. I'm getting some enthusiastic nods from Sean Colfer, the encyclopedia of UK Ultimate that man is. Helps, you know, when you have that knowledge when you coach a GB program.
I was going to say, I was like, there's very few areas of life where that really helps you, but yeah, coach of a GB program is one of them.
And talk about talismans of SMOG. Yellow, Tom Lees, wearing that number 11.
Big fake, but then steps back into the zone, not really looking to pull it apart too effectively. They're really isolating their handlers, but then look at that throw all the way through the area the zone doesn't want you to go. Van Haley was the one on the end, moving it around. Now Lee's on the far sideline. Again, doesn't take too much on. The dish over the top of the wind had other things to say. Might be a little bit of conversation. Nope. Knight just looking around for confirmation. It seems to be a turnover. That's what William Collier is. Yep, it's a turnover. Knight picks it up. Has Cameron making all kinds of moves. Instead, just goes straight in front to Parnell. Parnell from the power position. SMOG are doing a good job of really staying on these shoulders. It's a tough break to Cameron. That's an easier throw across to Penning. Back in the middle to Knight. But again, it's a good job of isolating single cutters, and then the huge shot to Cameron. They're trusting their big man. 4 white jerseys. And in the end, it's that man Yellow picking it up. It was all yellow, as it turned out. Instead, they go back in the other direction. Collier launching it. We knew deep shots would be coming aplenty. That's just great body position and collection by Plant Hatley. 3-2.
I think we might need a replacement disc after that edge down spike. We don't love to see it, but Alex Plant-Hatley is just such a cheat code, especially in the deep space. If you ever have the misfortune of playing against him indoors, it will soon become very apparent that he's a one-man game winning machine on that surface, and certainly a very handy part of this SMOG roster. I love the choice of throw here. Just puts enough underneath it. Just trusting that Plant-Hatley just has that extra bit of height difference, especially over Joseph Penning. But a cluster underneath that disc that was for Sam Cameron, giving the opportunity for SMOG to grind it back. But all kind of still quite steady. Bristol up that one break. They ground out in the second point of the game. But tell you what, Lorcan, the moustache is having a real vibe in Ultimate here in the UK at the moment. There's some fantastic facial hair fluttering about this pitch.
It seems to be something of your particular focus, that there's a lot of mustaches coming back.
Well,
I feel like the mullet made a searing comeback there for a little while, but it seems to be fading out again.
It does. Well, there's a link there to the UK rules around what facial hair is allowed in which of the armed forces, and it's the Air Force that have the illustrious moustaches. They're not allowed to have beards, only moustaches. So something about, there's a pun in there about aerial defense.
We'll work on it a little bit longer. As Warnock with the high release flick. There's been some dicey high release flicks, but that one worked out to Tiswell. Gets it to Allen. Allen looks to finish it. It'll need something big. Yeah, I think he borrowed that throw from the Tig Bogan Carey school of leading your player in the end zone.
I like the separation there from the Bristol offense, the kind of lattice effect as they moved in towards the end zone, but there was no connection really before that disc went to Alan Vaslett. No, sorry, not Vaslett. That was Sully that was trying to get himself around that one. She's not ready for it. And neither were SMOG to start off their offense, apparently.
So another quick turnover. Warnock runs over to pick it up. Just gets the lead straight in front of the end zone. That's Vaslett, and there's the quick pop off to Tidswell for the score.
So an easy one in the end. Of course, Tidswell, a practice player for GB Mixed. He actually hails from Wales. So
he is the mysterious addition that makes it a full GB team, rather than just an England team, of course. Scottish representation in there as well, but yeah, Harry Tidswell, bringing a bit of Welsh flavour.
Absolutely,
and
in
fact,
fact,
rare bit.
if I remember correctly, he's also a former SMOG mixed player, so he'll know the tactics of this SMOG Open side very well.
As they look to break past the Northerners and continue their march on. For their ability to put a lot of pressure on, it certainly seems like Bristol are just a step above SMOG at times. SMOG really keeping it close and generating a decent number of turns.
Oh, and of course we've got Coach Carson in our live chat. If you're enjoying this game, feel free to get yourself into our live chat. Say hello, hit that like and subscribe button. Wants some shout outs to Josh King playing on Bristol and Will Moore on Smoke, who will both be representing a GB under 20 in the Open Division at Birmingham in 2 weeks' time.
Two very promising young talents, and it would be very interesting to see them battle against each other, but that's something to look out for. Big shot all the way down. That is a fantastic throw. Straight out of the hands of Riley Ross. I think it was Will Moore who collected on the opposite side. But a great throw from Moss. Or Ross, even Riley Ross.
Well, our first clean hold in quite some time. It's nice to see it. I have to say, some of these deep throws really are coming out absolutely beautifully. That one makes it to the intended receiver as well. I think by virtue of the fact that the wind has slightly dropped off during the course of the last 2 points.
It's a lot of confidence to take that throw on with that kind of an angle.
But you can see that Edward really just dropped off. Could not make up the recovery speed to catch up with Wilmore. So maybe a defensive change will be required from Bristol to try and push them underneath, because SMOG have been connecting on a lot of their deeper shots.
So 4-3. Still feeling each other out. It would be nice to see Bristol push SMOG under a bit more. They've gotten some great Ds on the under already in this matchup. Of course, going into the wind, that's going to be a lot easier, as right now the serve, which hasn't been maintained, it's actually been maintained pretty well for the last few points since the early break by Bristol, but the serve is you've got the wind at your back. That's always going to be easier to finish.
Well, Tempest hoping to harness the stormy elements of this weather. Readying for the pull.
So Bristol still very much in command. There's the immediate pass to Warnock. A few options ahead of him. Eventually, oh, he says no to the big shot downfield. And a nice swing instead, right back into the middle. Darren Yu continues it along to the near sideline. And then Hughes tries to find Miller, but difficult throw and a harder catch to make.
Well, that's the second time they've really asked Miller to hit the deck. And again, showing the flexibility, but not quite the timing. And SMOG able to take potentially the opportunity here.
No, that stall count's getting very high, so the opportunity isn't going to last long. It's another deep shot, lots of SMOG, lots of rats. And it comes down in the hands of a Northerner. Brilliant stuff, and they just keep on spiking it. That was Benjamin Tempest.
It's going to come back on a call. There is a signal that everyone else, including you, Lorcan, have missed. Tidswell calling the stall out, saying that that one did not leave the hands in time. There's a fair argument for it. I mean, we can always get a replay and count along at home with you guys, but I didn't really like the way either team were igniting their offense here. You can see Slater. I don't think we got the full possession there on our replay, because that would have been a very, very, very fast count indeed. Either way, a high stall, high pressure shot that's absolutely gorgeous.
It really worked out well, and it even curved away from where he was aiming, but
Hold on.
to see that space, it was fantastic. And of course, I thought when Tempest made the grab that you would you'd be quite celebratory about that, but looks like it is going to go back.
Yeah, sorry for dampening everything down, but
And instead, the quick dump to the near sideline, and SMOG come right back at it, but just a little bit too quick. That was always going to be hard to keep your hands on. Warnock to Miller. Miller all the way across. That was a fantastic grab by Darren Yu. Miller goes up the line. Good force, stops the throw. Yu goes back into the middle. Warnock is there for him. And then the high release backhand break over the top. Hughes continues it along to Miller. Miller right outside the end zone. He didn't have to lay out for that one. Tinswell has Yu isolated. It seems to be a 1-6 end zone look. Peculiar choice, but works, and Warnock gets the goal.
Yeah, I guess in terms of that 1-6, it does confuse and kind of, you don't know who's going to move first. It's anyone's guess, really. It could come out of any part of that 6-person stack. Whereas a lot of teams will try and sort of, do an end zone play that has one handler, maybe even two handlers out to kind of, give that initiation play. But Tidswell, with the speed to explode out of the stack, finds his option, sets his sights, and another on the board.
It's interesting you say that, because to me the 1-6, there's only one place it can come from, and that's the stack, because everyone is in there. So if you can set up a clamp around it, I would think a 1-6 is easier to clamp than a 2-5.
But people have a tendency to get a little bit kind of nervous as a defender when you're faced with marking somebody one-on-one in an end zone. If you've not got the kind of communication beforehand, if you fail to chat to the rest of your teammates and say, I'm going to cover this side, I'm going to cover that side. I agree with you. Surrounding a stack is a fantastic choice defensively, but there's always that little edge of kind of giddiness when a defender is marking someone one-on-one in an end zone, in that same way of kind of, it could be anyone initiating that play.
You do get to kind of zero in and focus on people when they run the weave outside. And I like the 1-6 in certain contexts. In the end zone, it just seems to make things cluttered. Although if it was up to me, I'd probably have 4 people stand outside of the end zone and about 20 feet back from it.
I mean, why not just put one person in the end zone?
That's, just ISO. Just run a triangle ISO. It's really hard to stop. And SMOG looking to stay in this one. 5-3. Been trading back and forth for a while. Their deep shots, a huge part of that. And there's Williams launching a flick and a little bit of a tag team block. Sam Cam got the first touch. There's the swap in. Cabrera sends it back into the middle. And looking for Cam from the hands of Richardson. And there's the huge shot going right back from Sam Cam. Cabrera bounces it up, and honestly, I feel like there was a second bid attempt for Dan Hran if he wanted it. But right back at it are SMOG. Off the sideline immediately and into a little bit of space. Riley Ross again. He's got those flicks. Williams probably wants his first one back. He's not going to take that deep shot on this time. Instead, SMOG tried to swing to the break side, and it almost works, but doesn't quite. And absolutely no waiting around. An immediate deep shot all the way to the end zone. And it's Woodbridge. Harris with the big time grab.
Yeah, lovely, fast counter-attack execution there. Really enjoyable to watch that throw sail. But what I'm really not enjoying is watching SMOG cut each other off. The kind of amount of collateral damage that's happening to their offensive flow because of the fact that they're bumping into each other in a stack. There are small advantages to it. I mean, on that previous play, before we saw that disco to no man's land and then the immediate counter punch from Knight, it was about kind of, just maybe 2 meters in front of the thrower that they got that reset through to Williams before it all went a little bit wrong. But that the freedom was only gained by virtue of what you could have called for a pick. I mean, it's not really a meaningful infraction. The defender was still well in position. It wasn't a gainer. But, yeah, it's just sort of a little bit messy at points for SMOG. And they are backing each other up. They are being mindful, keeping their focus and their eyes up to redeem each other. But let's see them initiate a little bit more smoothly and a bit more quickly. Similar for Bristol. I think they're still taking their time when they're getting underway with their possessions, but they are being a bit more disciplined in terms of their structure and their spacing, which is paying a couple of dividends. But looking to the wider season at the moment, these two teams have only had a couple of games thus far against opponents in free play. No mutual opponents up until this point in the season for the algorithm ranking. The expectation, though, through the almighty EUCS series, sort of, current estimation is this one should go 15-12 in favour of Bristol. At the moment, it's anyone's game.
SMOG want to keep that closer and try and push up their rankings. Of course, Bristol really need to keep these wins. They'll be coming in here. All of the teams who are using this as a qualification campaign, they have some of the loftiest ambitions, and we saw Alba become undone in the first game today to a certain extent, and they might just be out of it unless they can get some big wins later in this tournament. As SMOG looking like a little bit more flow, a few more isolation cuts downfield. This is cleaner. That was pretty dirty.
Commentator's curse. Coming out of a vertical rather than a horizontal structure seems to actually give them more space, ironically.
So Cabrera, he doesn't want the cut in the dump position. He wants to huck it immediately back to SMOG, and he does so. Comfortably taken by Will Moore.
Give me more.
Well, right now SMOG would settle for just a little something as it goes into middle. Plant Heatley. Back across to Slater. And now comfortably in the middle, they're looking to finish the shot, and that is really well done by SMOG. Nice team connections.
Yeah, the throw from Akito Oyama was absolute gold. Let's get another look at this little bit of play. Plant. I enjoyed you saying Plant Heatley, because it sounded a little bit like Plant Eatley. But just such beautiful execution, lovely pivot and snap on that low release forehand for Samuel Higginbotham. Sounds like it should be from a...
That sounds like a Beatrix Potter character.
That's exactly what I was thinking, yes.
Ah, yes, Mr. Higginbottom. Very good to see. No, see, now that seems mean if I start saying that. All names seem silly if you're not from the place. Or you're called Higginbottom.
It's the bottom at the end of it. Sounds too much like bottom, I suppose. But not quite enough. But there's nothing nothing posterior about that one other than the speed coming out of the legs of Sam Higginbotham to collect that goal. And a little bit of fortitude for SMOG, because they really have been creating so many chances at taking breaks. Bristol's O-line have yet to put a clean hold on the board whatsoever. So clearly really, showing the fact that defense wins games, because they got the 2 breaks, one of which was clean. In fact, yeah, the D-line's been the only side of Bristol to be clean at any point.
Well, let's see if Warnock can address that.
Nope.
And he just throws it straight into the ground ahead of Allen. Brilliant work on the force. I would almost give a block to Ben Jenkins for that, forcing that throw that low when he's trying to go to the break side. Really nice heads-up play. And then Simpson tries to send it back across. Going to be contact on the back shoulder.
Yeah, I think there was perhaps a reach around over the top of that shoulder, which is more contact than he's happy with. The diminutive frame of Albert Hart. Great turning speed, really agile, but that big old arm.
Now, is that a foul, or is that just the other guy being considerably bigger than you?
Well, it's the going over the top of someone. So it's the idea of you're not entitled to sneak the... If you can sneak that arm through without making contact with the player's body,
that's it really,
then fair.
It's the contact, yeah.
But it's the kind of abuse there. But
nobody seems to want to really complete a dump pass right now, so...
It's overrated, mate.
Nothing but hucks. That's what we came here for. It's UK Nationals. What are you doing?
Just lost it, mate.
Chris Allen. Tidswell trying very hard to get free and coming to no avail. Eventually get it to Warnock. And they reset right back to Allen. Allen goes across to Hughes. I thought there was a call, but it was just Allen stopping. And he seems to be taking this point on himself a little bit. Warnock has Dryden. Dryden clears out. Big cut coming from across the pitch. And Bristol now the ones cutting each other off. Stopping that score. Tidswell goes to the opposite space. Dryden throws it straight across and collected for the goal. James Sully. So as you were saying earlier, it seemed like SMOG were kind of getting in their own way, tripping themselves up. We saw right there Chris Allen, who kind of took that point on and was really leading the offense, but his final cut up the line for the score came at the same time as Adam Vaslet, who had been setting up that cut from the opposite side of the end zone for about 3 passes. So 2 people who had, I think, every right of way to attack that cone. But the really strong part, really strong is probably generous, the part that worked was Warnock getting out of that situation with the high release flick. I've seen a lot of high release flicks today, by the way, to Tidswell in the middle, and then they just swing and score. So great technique, their approach. People need to get better at high release flicks if they're going to keep throwing them this much. That's all I'll say.
Depends which direction you're throwing them on this pitch, although the wind has again dissipated. It's not quite as feisty as it's been at points. Certainly the last match was in the second half when SMOG women went on their run of breaks in the late stages, as we get some curious sounds coming from the Bristol sideline. They're just screaming.
That's actually the natural sound of a rat. I don't know if you speak rat.
It sounds more like a fox, you know, like the screaming of foxes in the night time. Let's not go there.
Start to show our age.
What does the fox say?
No, we are here to be serious and professional and enjoy this great game. As SMOG far from out of it. They want to start marching up a couple of breaks of their own. They are 7-4 down. They gave up 1 early and 1 more recently to Bristol. As that lonely walk to the Shooters Showdown, known as the Brick Mark. A break.
Also, big shout out, by the way, to Los Angeles tuning in. Nice to have you alongside us, J-Dub.
Oh, is that? You have to clarify for us, as that's a huge bid, but coming up with nothing, and now SMOG won it all. There's the big shot. Defender gaining, but it doesn't matter. An incredible grab. Is that Nicholas Williams bringing it down?
Who else? Who else goes up like that?
Yeah.
I swear, the laws of physics just do not apply to Nick Williams. He is just someone who just sits up there for an extra 3.5 seconds, at least, at the top of his jump. You're kind of thinking, if you don't know Williams' play style, you think, oh, well, you know, that might be a little bit too early that you've gone, or a bit too late, and just, nope, just reaches up with ease. Has a little bit of a height mismatch to Simon Curran there. Should, in theory, as the taller man, have gotten up there, but Williams, just such a weapon. And a clean hold again coming out of SMOG. In theory, they should be the ones in charge of this game, but they've yet to get a solitary break on the board. Their O-line execution leaves nothing to be desired at many times, but Bristol just grinding this one out. And 1 point away from taking half.
From taking half, 8-5 as well, which, given the amount of turnovers, I think, might be a little unfair to SMOG. But I suppose when these kind of gaps appear and there seems like both teams are playing about as good as each other, to me, some people point to talent. I think that's generally a matter of depth. That if you have the deeper team, you just slowly creep over other teams, whereas if they have a lot of star players, as we see the nice catch and immediate restart. Warnock, Miller and Dryden back. And then just really kind of an amalgamation of people downfield. I don't know if I'd call it a structure, as Alan has to bounce back to take that one down. Nice. Vaslip, big shot. Nice correction and collection by Warnock, and then overthrowing at the end of it. So they do all the hard work and then just kind of similar to what they were doing to Miller outside the end zone earlier, you know?
Symptomatic, mate. Symptomatic. Although I really enjoyed the sit-off from Matt Quinn in the early stages of that possession for Bristol. Just sitting off of the matchup of Nate Dryden in that Hannah spot, just sagging into the lane very effectively as we see a tiny...
just taking a little bit too far against Dryden there. I think that was just an accidental step as he was making a move to cut.
Yeah, I think just a bit of a twinge in the posterior. Hopefully he'll be okay.
I feel like that's something that has happened and been done by everybody.
Well, it's the worst when you put your foot down and you hear that gunshot sound of your Achilles just snapping clean.
I am unfamiliar with that experience, mercifully.
I've watched it twice.
I don't watch the same videos as you online.
No,
as we see
reality.
SMOG coming back to it. And looking to fight their way back into this matchup. Now that is just some hard work to get free. But again, it's all in that short space. There goes the deep shot, but Tidswell guards it well in support. So the thrower has to give up in the cut as it's just maturing. Harrison, near sideline, that counts. And here comes a big fake. I got sold a little bit by that one, if I'm honest with you. As SMOG continue to work it, they're on the opposite side. So it's a lot of swinging, a lot of dumping, but they are making their way down the field. Tom Lees has a couple of options. Didn't like the first one. Decides to make it incredibly difficult for the second one. That is a great grab by Tempest. Back to Lees. Lees sends it across. So I think at this point now, that's everybody on the SMOG line who's got a touch. Evan Smith. And then there's a turnover. So that's how life goes sometimes. Alan, to you, back to Alan. Alan and Miller. And when Alan gets this give-go going, it can be very effective. Back into Miller. They didn't want to force it straight away, but it goes straight back to Alan. Not really doing a great job of shutting down any options right now. SMOG, and Warnock has enough time to recognize that's going. Immediately give it back to Alan. That's teamwork. Save blushes, and Vasily with the big grab. Half.
Yeah, I mean, valiant effort. I think that was not Tempest. It's Morgan Garland trying to deny the big man in the end zone. I mean, I found it ironic, Lorcan, that you said every single SMOG player has gotten a touch, and then Harry Tidswell with the run-through block to get that position for Bristol that they nearly squandered. Great heads up from Warnock just to really appreciate that the disc was coming towards his area of catch. But yeah, Tidswell, the former SMOG player, then rounding us out for the full 8. And that will be 8 on the board for Bristol, of course.
Puts them into a commanding position. SMOG will come out in the second half with possession, but will they have enough passion to fight their way back into this match in this UKU pool game and EUCS ranking matchup? Well, there's only one place to find out, and that's right here. So we will see you after this break, as it's Bristol 8, SMOG 5.
A Hive Ultimate, a group of players and coaches from all over the world working together to progress the next generation of Ultimate strategy. We've helped top teams win world championships and new teams introduce the sport in a fun and inclusive way. Search for Hive Ultimate on YouTube to learn more about our cutting-edge strategies and to see analysis of world-class teams. To find out what Hive can do for your team, head over to our Patreon page where you can gain access to our exclusive drills and session plans and to join our worldwide community of coaches. Get ahead of the curve with Hive Ultimate.
Always on the move? You can keep up to date with ULTI.TV on all of our social media channels. Like, follow, subscribe, share us with a friend, or send us a message just to say hey. Thank you for supporting us in our mission to grow Ultimate everywhere.
Welcome back, everybody, to this wonderful game of Ultimate and my homogenized voice for international audiences. As we look to find something a little bit special in the Northerners. Watching that first half, what do you want to see from SMOG coming out in the second?
I think they've just got to start punishing these Bristol errors. I mean, their O-line for the Rats is absolutely crammed full of big athletic powerhouses that know what to do. They're asking a lot of each other. The cohesion isn't really on point. I mean, you have to ask the question, what was it that SMOG put in the gas tank to take Chevron to Universe in their previous matchup? Maybe they've left themselves a little bit too little fuel for the fire in this one.
Well, we'll see how the SMOG team does when they're down to running on fumes. Big shot to the end zone. You know who they want. But you might be surprised to find they don't get him. That was a huge defensive effort by Bristol. Plenty of bodies around. I think the eventual credit will go to Mike Richardson.
Yeah, double coverage. Not really a big fan of that throw. The flow up until that point, though, much improved for SMOG. We talked about in the first half, they kept sort of colliding into each other, getting each other's way, not leaving the lanes. Their spacing kind of going to dirt, really. But Plant Hatley, well, he's not going to get every one of those, but he's a tempting target. But that great peel-off, I don't even think that was the original matchup defensively.
Knight, now that the sun is out, has taken off his sunglasses, so that's a peculiar decision. Goes to Dom Jolly, and then back into the middle. Dom Jolly is behind, screaming for it. They don't see him. They get it. They try to get it to Knight. That is daylight robbery. Brilliant block by Riley Ross. It's been a bit of a bright spark for SMOG so far in this game. Clan Hatley goes into the middle. Yeah, that counts. I think there's gonna be a bit of discussion, but I would have called that up. What do you think?
Yeah, looked pretty decent actually for Oyama.
So Oyama get it back from the middle of the pitch.
Ooh, it's quite close on the replay, but of course we're quite high up from the field, so we don't have the best angle for up-down calls.
So you see Slater eventually able to get the high release backhand break off Oyama. And that one definitely went to the ground, right?
Rolling around.
So Jolly immediately wastes no time. He wants the shot. He wants the collection from Richardson. Might just leave the floor quiet for a second to see if there's going to be debate. Nope, turnover. Disc just dropped a bit too early.
Yeah, and also it's a tough one for Richardson to get to. You know, he's coming from behind two defenders, not got the best view of the disc.
Coming from behind two defenders. Again, like you're saying, a lot of shots into double coverage.
Yep. It's like you've got to basically you've got to tempt your thrower into throwing at you and it actually landing with someone else, but that's much better execution.
That shouldn't have worked. Higginbotham had turned to come back under, and then because he then turned and that time he doesn't have enough time to recover, somebody throw it where he's actually running. Might help.
No, mate, distraction tactic. Like I say, you run and they throw it to the other person.
So next level intelligence happening right here, and I think that's Knight with the casualist of timeout calls.
Yeah, they're sort of stood on the edge of the precipice right now of Bristol, looking down the barrel of a third break of score in this game if they can lock and load. But at the moment, SMOG really putting up a solid fight.
I'm Steph Pazzo, and I must eat.
Sometimes commentator, sometimes food eater.
On my ultimate travels in 2023, I sampled culinary classics from all across Europe,
Oh, wow.
guided by some of your favorite ultimate players.
That's the Dutch hospitality for you right there.
I'll give you an insight into the secret spots that only the locals know of.
Are these the best schnitzels in Vienna?
Yes, of course.
Yes, of course.
Go find Steph Pazzo on YouTube. Like and subscribe and follow the European Ultimate Must Eat series.
And thank you for staying with us, for joining us, or perhaps if you're somewhere far flung in the future, for coming back in time and spending a little bit of your afternoon, morning, evening, whatever, whenever. We'll always be together here for free on YouTube, and that's how we do it here at ULTI.TV with UKU. I'm Lord Murray. I'm joined by Hannah Pendlebury. Hannah, what have you made of what has been a quite protracted point to open the second half?
Well, first off, hold on. Did you just quote Shakira very subtly?
I quote Shakira subtly, constantly.
Okay, good to know. Just had to get that thought out of my brain. It's been a game of throwing it to the defenders, I think, so far in this opening point of the second half. Just nice ideas, but the discs are too slow. They're hanging too much, and it's not the kind of... If you imagine the 2016 Japanese Open team, the way they threw their deep shots to people, just complete explosion, full stride. You cannot put any ounce of float on those, because if you're playing against the USA in the final, who are all head and shoulders taller than you, you just cannot do it. You need to be more Japan. Because at the moment, there's a lot of floating.
So much easier said than done, as they've instead opted for another floaty. Well, that one didn't float so much as it dropped straight out of the sky.
That was the wind.
That was a strange one, yeah. I think at a certain point the cutters are going to need to adapt to the fact that these discs are getting a certain distance, and then when you expect them to start curving in, they are instead just falling out of the air. So we will see if SMOG can get a bit of positive air going themselves. And there's the huge rip out of the hands of Plant Hatley, looking downfield, and this time they get it to Higginbotham by throwing it to where he's going. And they finish off with the score.
That's a nice little switcheroo there. Plant Hatley, of course, has been generally getting the assignment of going towards the deep space, but showing that big men can not only jump in the end zone, they've not got like just, you know, the vertical reach, but also all that leverage, all those levers, that frame can be used to dynamic effect all that torsion. It's a really lovely throw, especially I like the commitment to that inside fake as well. Really moves the mark around, opens up the space for the full arm stretch to hit Higginbotham, because of course when you've got those big arms, it's very easy to end up finishing your throw position into the face of your mark. And that, folks, would be a foul, and it would have to come back.
I mean, if he's released the disc.
In the process of releasing, I mean like that kind of the finishing of the throw directly into the face of your mark.
Foul on who?
We've all received a Frisbee directly to the teeth at this point, have we not?
I think it's, honestly, it was one of those things, if I remember from early trainings, where like one of the coaches would get clocked with a Frisbee and you'd feel really bad and apologize, and they're like, look, it happens all the time, you kind of get used to it.
If you haven't drawn blood, you're not doing it hard enough.
Phrase that becomes less applicable once you leave Frisbee.
No, I'm kidding. Of course, being a non-contact sport, there are actually, compared to some field disciplines, relatively few collisions and injuries, of which we're all very thankful.
If not us, certainly our Achilles. That is a nice throw by Dryden right into the middle of the pitch. The low backhand release. And there, the kid tried to keep it going, and an incredible save! I mean, it shouldn't have required all that, but I'm grateful it did. Dryden with the massive layout bobble catch. And then Miller from you, and they continue across to Tidswell on the opposite side. Big cuts happening downfield, but all happening a bit too far away from the thrower. Back into you. They continue it across. Dryden has already shown off he's got quite an arsenal of throws. Keeps it simple for now, goes back to Warnock. Alan Miller, he goes with Miller, and again, just a little bit too low.
Oh, Lorcan, I was getting ready to celebrate after that game of flubberguts that Dryden treated us to. Let's get another look at it. Just really keeping the eyes on and just sacrificing the body. I was really hopeful we were finally going to get a clean hold for Bristol, but no.
No, they had other ideas. They saw Johnny's ankles and they had to throw it at them, apparently. As we see SMOG coming back in the opposite direction. Can they take advantage? Collier gets it into the middle. And here comes the big shot all the way down the pitch. But in the end, Warnock's just sitting and waiting for it. SMOG keep getting the disc back and then throwing Hucks into coverage. Miller has Warnock. Opts to go to the opposite direction in the waiting form of Sully. Tidswell makes the cut, as it has to be said, rather lethargically cleared out by Warnock. Allen has to reach far forward to bring that disc in on the undercut. And then leads Dryden, and that one's just a bit too far ahead. I really thought he'd lay out to get it, but...
Our first point since the start of the game that Bristol haven't recovered on the first try.
So the second bite at the cherry for the first time so far. Collier, he's forced to go for the dump pass across to Jenkins. And straight down the line. Tempest was the one who got it, and they're starting to move a little bit quicker. Maybe with a little bit more purpose. I thought he was going to throw it to Jenkins, but no, Glasspool on the opposite side. And Glasspool straight down the line. And they're just taking their time. Then Tempest goes to the blade over the top, and it survives the elements and is caught by William Collier.
Well, there you go. Clearly the key, the requirement for SMOG to get a break of scorers. There's going to be, I think, a discussion about whether that final disc was up or down. I mean, it looked good.
Looked up to me.
Yeah. It flicks off his hands as he gets his possession, doesn't it? Sort of on the replay. That is, I'm not going to say obvious, but I'd certainly put that in favour of it being a goal. And they are pointing up towards the booth. And they do indeed ask for the perspective of the replay, and it's going to be called a goal.
I feel like that was more in the spirit of the rule application rather than a strict application of how that's meant to work. An entire sideline turning is definitely more than one nominated person.
Indeed. Well, I mean, to be fair, you know, it's going out on YouTube. They just have to get their phones on the sideline and watch it back. Of course, the UKU Nationals still free to watch here on YouTube with us, ULTI.TV. And it is a pleasure to bring you all of this coverage. Another look at that lovely catch from Tempest. Just swirling that one around.
Oh, now looking at it, everybody up in the booth is second-guessing themselves, except for Sean Culper.
In real time, I thought that looked very good on the replay. But it's all good. It will be called a goal on the field, and that is the important thing. And as I say, clearly they just needed that second turnover to get themselves sorted, did SMOG's D-line. Finally making headway in this game. And Bristol are going to have to shine their shoes and clean up their act if they want to maintain the lead, because it's just slowly been building the pressure over the course of the game, this SMOG team.
Can they capitalize on it? That is a big score for them. The hold and their first break. So to keep up the pressure, do you think they need to change what they're doing? We will find out as this disc coming down, and Warnock readies himself, collects it, sends it straight back into the middle. Back to Warnock, down the line to Tidswell. Tidswell and Warnock just working together for now. Mason was involved briefly. Alan says, how about I come and say hello? Working it vastly now. Doesn't want the high release flick break. That surprises me a little. Warnock. Tidswell makes a cut to the swing side. Gets to Mason. Alan screaming for the over the head. And eventually it comes from the hands of Mason. Perfect hammer.
And you know what? We've got two things that had never happened in the game so far. We've got a SMOG break, followed by a clean hold from Bristol. And I have to say, there was, if I'm going to be critical, I would love to see Bristol's O-line for the rest of this game clear out with the same veracity that they cut under. There are a couple of moments where things started to look a tad cloggy, but generally speaking, that point was a good example of them being that touch more patient, not trying to force things through quite so much, just waiting for each other to become available and then identifying and exploiting the fact that Chris Allen just wandered his way to the far corner of the end zone where no one was paying attention to him, and then gave himself so much acreage to then bring down that ambitious, spicy scuba.
I think what we really learned from this is that we need to send more overheads. For all the hucks that have happened in this game, there just have not been that many overheads.
But it was also interesting with Bristol's offense. They did a really good job at the beginning of that possession to isolate that central space, to kind of, you know, keeping their structure with the horizontal stack and allowing players to really attack dynamically. They could probably have thrown a couple of those discs earlier and made more yards for fewer passes, but either way, it's nice to see them finally clean it up.
Here comes SMOG, and a huge shot immediately. Yellow wants to send it all the way down there, and a rare drop from Plant Hatley.
It's a bad miss. Really lovely execution of that throw. Hit him directly in both hands. I'm not sure how much easier Yellow could have made that disc.
So Bristol with a chance to get a break, and that one was down for a while.
Yeah,
Cabrera bid.
very different structure there. Still a host stack, but not quite the same level of vim, vigor, or isolation.
And then Lees with the immediate pickup, pass, and score. Very nicely done and collected by Akito Oyama. 2 impressive players so far for SMOG. Lees, of course, very well established, but Akito Oyama coming out and showing what he's capable of.
I'm enjoying the little view there of Plan Hatley just replaying for his teammates his big old drop in the opening moments of that possession. But keeping things simple after Bristol's D-line were just unable to get any motion going.
They've just been very stop-starty, and it's not going to do if you want to go and start taking on people at the higher end of Europe.
It's real mid. I feel like both of these teams have another gear that they can slot into. And to be fair, now is the time to start doing that, moving your way up through. Got 23 minutes, well, 22 and change now, left in this game so far. Look at that for pass tallies. Obviously, Bristol's D-line have had a bit more action with the disc than SMOG have, but
SMOG averaging less than 10 passes a possession, a score even. Interesting. And with 3 clean holds. Warnock. They want to get things going as quickly as they possibly can. Straight down the line. Oh, big fake, just dislodging the defense. Sully tries to throw it through. Excellent layout block. That is just top quality heads-up play. Ben Jenkins.
yeah, I was watching some of the poaching that Jenkins was doing. He nearly got completely screwed over by his first poach off. Vasek thought better of the throw.
That is not an easy dump pass to get off. All the way across the glass pool. Warnock's trying to bid in, but cannot get the better of Matt Quinn. Quinn throws it back, and they center into the middle. SMOG want to keep switching it all the way across the pitch. Ben Jenkins, sick of switching, just goes for the deep shot. Huge grab, fantastic stuff.
Unfortunately, that's going to have to come back on a much earlier pit call unless it can be determined that it didn't impact things enough. I mean, the matchup certainly for that deep disc had been burned. I'm not sure anyone that close to the disc would have had an opportunity to stop it. So we
now
might
it's just
stay.
like, yeah, is it the thrower being like, well, I wouldn't have thrown it if other options were available. He goes, this is a deep shot, of course you would have thrown it. As we have another look, just a fantastic grab by Quinn. And he was giving Warnock all he could handle on the defensive side of this point earlier on.
It's a little bit surprising, actually, some of these grabs for SMOG. They're kind of going for single-handed grabs. Again, we see that kind of, the kind of backwards hand grab. This time it's from Quinn. Previously it was from Tempest. But that one is going to come all the way back. Just do it again, but better.
By which we mean an even sketchier throw and an even bigger layout catch. Instead, the stall count just ratchets up, and thought you might have knocked that back into play. So Allen, quick. Doesn't want to wait around. Vasily. Back to Allen. That's a lovely pop through, and Allen then tries to show off and gets done for it. Vasily did such a great little pop through. You can see Allen was like, oh, I can do that too, and then just rushes it a little bit too much.
Well, absolutely phenomenal defense there coming through. Great work from Jenkins again, who got that earlier sort of poach bid. Just hung out in that open lane to get the first turnover. You can see almost like he's trying to throw a greatest.
I thought, yeah, the way the disc came out, it's like Jenkins got, oh no, that must have been a greatest attempt or something. But no, just a big time block by Jenkins. So 2 blocks and 1 turnover in this point for him. And SMOG, bear in mind this score would tie up the game. First time since 0-0. They've been working themselves back into it all half. 8-5 down. Now 9-8 down. Disc in hand. What can they do? Jenkins. It's been a force for them on the defensive side. Offensively, that is a big gainer he finds right down the middle to Higginbotham. Higginbotham also tireless. Collier on the GB practice squad and leads Jenkins perfectly. Warnock can just watch through his grimace as that one sails right by, and then they sailed all the way across. Allen's going to try and get in the way, and does so. Brilliant defense on Glasspool. It's going to come back for a foul.
Nope, it's not.
It's going to be carried as a turnover.
There was a hesitation. I understand what you're going for. There was a little moment where you thought Glasspool. I mean, I'll be honest, when that throw went up, I was like, that's a terrible decision. It's a really nice idea, the thought, but the decision to throw that flat and floaty, what are you doing? Throw the hammer, man.
As Warnock, front of the end zone, gets it to Sully. And the continued swing. Those are some big, grown swings. Hughes to Allen. He made a massive deep cut. That's the tail end of it. And then a fantastic leading pass looking for Vassie, but just too far ahead of him. And I might have been singing the praises a bit early.
Yeah, got to hold those for a couple of extra seconds on the downwind. The wind has re-emerged in this game as a player. It's just been teasing the fields here in the Highfields Sports Complex. And of course, the show pitch has got those lovely fir trees at the other end of the pitch, not on your view. You can see the little player car park. But creates a little bit of an interesting wind condition. Certain parts of the pitch more impacted than others. And an immediate timeout call from Collier as we see the grimace from Coach Colfer, never a fan of an in-play timeout.
Right there on that coffin corner. Well, will it mean doom? There's only one way to find out. Join us after the break as it's Bristol 9, SMOG 8.
I'm Steph Pazzo, and I must eat.
Sometimes commentator, sometimes food eater.
On my ultimate travels in 2023, I sampled culinary classics from all across Europe,
Oh, wow.
guided by some of your favorite ultimate players.
That's the Dutch hospitality for you right there.
I'll give you an insight into the secret spots that only the locals know of.
Are these the best schnitzels in Vienna?
Yes, of course.
Yes, of course.
Go find Steph Pazzo on YouTube. Like and subscribe and follow the European Ultimate Must Eat series.
Welcome back, everybody, and thank you for staying with us. It's been an action-filled day so far here at UKU, the National Championships. These two teams, SMOG, coming from the north in general, because that's just kind of a thing here, and going up against Bristol, coming from Bristol. Two teams both ranked and using this game for their EUCS rankings, trying to fight their way into Europe. And at that ranking, of which Bristol are just on the edge of breaking through into qualifying, they need to win this game 15-12 to maintain their score. So, SMOG have a chance, even if it's not to get themselves in, but certainly to spoil the Southerners' hopes. And we all know that's something they're not adverse to. Of course, Collier making the debatable decision to call an in-play timeout on the front of the end zone cone, as now Bristol understandably set up what is effectively a 6-person cup. And just try and limit these next 10 seconds. Forcing them back. And now they break out of the initial jaws of the zone. Sending it across to Tempest. We know he's not afraid of a few overheads. Glasspool has Collier in front of him. Just pops it to him. A little bit more of a break, and there's Glasspool with a quick uprush. Collier to follow. So this is very calm and composed work. Tempest. SMOG just taking their time, working their way out of the end zone. And they're starting to work their way slightly back towards it.
I was going to say, there's a lot of negative yards. Never a big fan of the way that sometimes the handlers sit back.
Are you a fan of that? That's a great first move. It's going to take something special. I like the bid. I respect the bid. You have to go for it.
It's just not the right angle and not the right release point for going against the breeze like that. Just needed way more snap and a higher release to the arm.
That was one of the few throws that they could have gotten away with, floating it a little, but you can see how quickly Bristol come right back at you. Allen leading that charge once more. Once he starts feeling himself, it's very hard to get him to stop. Beautiful leading pass to Dryden down the line. And the pop straight back in. And Bristol take care of business, 10-8.
Yeah, I mean, not even remotely surprised, but that was a long and drawn out point. And the thing I said about those handlers dropping back, conceding the negative yards, pushing all the way back to your end zone line, suddenly that sort of breakthrough pass that nearly got all the way back to the side, that kind of throw, I think it's from Jacob Holmes in the end, that just didn't quite make the mark. And as you say, that was the one moment where throwing a floaty hanging pass would have done no bad thing for you. It was that kind of drop back from the handler set that then just suddenly made it. I mean, because 5 to 10 yards further into the pitch, that's a goal. That's a goal every day of the week.
And in such a pivotal moment in the game, you call that questionable timeout. You then work your way through patiently and quite convincingly. So you get enough space, you start to pull them apart a little bit, hit over the top with the ambitious throw, and then it's just about finishing it. 1v1 leading pass, and your player has such a huge advantage, but adrenaline is a crazy thing. It's hard to get these plays right in the moment.
Well, lovely to have so many of the youth players in our live chat. Nice to have.
Who are they cheering for?
I think they're cheering for their fellow teammates. Although there seems a bit of interesting action about Josh King being at Bristol.
Really? Very curious. Is there a bit of controversy going on? Well, keep it to the chat, as right now SMOG letting everything play out for them on the pitch. Lots of touches. Looking a bit more controlled. More with the disc now. Near sideline. Wants to go back with that break. Can't find a way. There's the big shot around. That is fantastic stuff. Making Mason irrelevant and finding Samuel Higginbotham for the score.
Oh, yum, yum, yum. I love that exploitation of the face mark coming out of Mason. Just really, it's a difficult job to do. It's something you have to really train to get good at, that triangulation, being able to be aware of where the disc is, where the possession is, and to kind of have that vision. You know, human beings, we are predators. We have our eyes in the front of our heads. We don't have that 360 view that some animals do by virtue of position of their eyeballs, but there is no mistaking that one. Really just a lovely throw. Okay, Oyama again throwing that one.
Akito, yes, with just sitting into it really nice and sending it around Mason. Like you're saying, it's a hard throw to get right, but if you start to recognize those opportunities, you just remove defenders from relevancy. Mm-hmm. And SMOG responding to Bristol's first clean hold with a clean hold of their own. Both these teams looking a lot more professional about
SMOG
their
are
business.
hanging on in there. They are kind of still looking like it's within the realms of possibility for them to sneak a win here against the Rats. Of course, they have played more EUCS ranking games, have SMOG. They've had a plentiful array of European opponents so far. They've had wins against Frisbees, Solibang, and some losses against Hut, Frisbeed, Chuck, and UFO.
Those are very close losses, though.
But only 4 games to the record of Bristol so far this season. Of course, that big win against La Forta that they thought would make a big difference for them.
Then you just got to let Lafada beat a bunch of people. As Warnock looks for Allen straight away. God gives an assist with the air bounce. And they get the goal.
Yeah, very, very quick, swift, clean hold. We love to see it. That little bit of form coming through. Of course, that's the other thing, though, for those of you who are not aware of how the European season will do its qualifying this year. You can't just beat a big opponent and then wait for the opponent to beat everybody else. You also have to stamp 10 games in your scorecard over the course of the summer. Of course, that's 4 so far for Bristol. This will count as 1. They're electing to use this tournament for the ranking series and, of course, the summer tours later on this year. This is not the end of the UK Ultimate season. It's just a strangely placed Nationals. We've still got 2 more tournaments to go in the club's tour season. The one where we all play mixed, I think, and the the World's Watch Party / Women's Tour.
I absolutely adore the one where we all play, because the tour is so long-standing in UK Ultimate, and growing up playing in Ireland, that was just a thing. You're like, there'll be 3 during the summer, try to go to 1, 2 if you can, if you want to really get good.
I still remember the days where there were 4 tours, because you had Tour 0 as well. Showing my age a little bit there.
We're the same age. Well, anyway, I think I'm showing the holes in my memory more.
Yeah.
What was Tour 0? Was that some kind of uni party you all went to?
No, it was a genuine tour. It was just called Tour 0.
As here come SMOG. They don't want to give up anything. Like you said, staying close the whole time. Williams, the high release backhand. That one was pretty close to not working out, if I'm honest with you. Will Moore. He gets from Paige Hatley. Will Moore goes back into the middle. The waiting arms of Tom Lees. Lees gets it back to Higginbotham. Higginbotham's really growing into this game ever since they started throwing the disc to him. Williams says no to Lees. Goes back to Higginbotham in the middle. The swing around, very nicely taken in. And Riley Ross throws the cheeky assist to Williams.
Well, that seemed to inject some venom into the sideline of SMOG. They're getting vocal down there on the field below our commentary booth. And a nice clean one at that. Tell you what, it's been a polished performance in the second half since we had the score to take it to 8-7. That break. No, I take it back. It's not 8-7. The break came to put us put that one back on the board. 8-5. Since then, actually, to be fair, since the SMOG break, it's been the cleanliness.
Say it's more like the last 10 minutes. It felt like the start of that second half was a little sluggish.
Yeah, I'm bumbling away. I'm wandering down a weird lane of conversation.
You're rumbling and bumbling, baby.
Yeah, I certainly am. But either way, I think it's fair to say that it's nice to see both teams finally finding the form that we know they are capable of achieving. And a little bit of glam cam action there as well. For the fans back home, Riley Ross just letting us know I'm the person that scored that goal. Just you know, I threw that disc. It was me.
If we could just make a general beseeching to the Ultimate community, play to the camera.
Oh, please.
Play to the roving camera. We're not making a camera person give up their comfy balcony spot to chase around for you for a whole game, for you to not play to the camera.
I don't know, mate. It's a British tradition, I think.
Dryden to Warnock. Warnock. Allen is getting very closely marked by Williams. And then they try to throw it through. It immediately forces the turn. That was always going to be a tough pass and catch.
Oh, doom. The clap of doom.
It's a horrible feeling, isn't it?
I've just realised you're wearing your hat. For our friends tuning in from the West Coast.
On a big block by Sully, he just steps in. Williams, he gets and he loses. And now they get it to you. You wanted to pop that to King. Couldn't get it off in time. You back to Warnock. Warnock gets low to rescue it. Has Dryden, finds Dryden. Sully makes a move to the back of the end zone, but from too deep, so it's not going to work out. There's the leading pass to Warnock, and under a lot of pressure. Great defensive effort. I think that was Sam Griffiths who got the little touch in.
It was. Just put that little bit of extra pressure on. The wind now returning again. It's not been impacting too much, but that little something to just change the nature.
That was an incredible throw to get it to Griffiths and a fantastic grab to hold on to possession. So SMOG starting to play with the fates in their favour ever so slightly. Garland back into the middle of Collier. Collier pops it across. He's going to need to make a more convincing move than that to get free, but it doesn't matter. They've gone deep. Sully's going to just go all the way out of bounds to crowd that out. People on the sidelines seem to be groaning as thinking that was close. He wasn't in. He wasn't in. He was about 3 foot away from that being worth awing over. So Warnock picks up. He's going to march it to the front of the end zone. So we have another look. See, it looks like a close contest. Slater and Sully getting into it, but that was just out of bounds.
Yep.
Warnock trying to play against this zone look that SMOG have thrown on them.
It's not zone, it's just sagging.
No, it has melded very quickly. I suppose they just set up as the, because it was very saggy to start. But then they restrict. There's been a real high proficiency of that move, which I didn't expect coming into this weekend. The melt back into close match. As Allen gets it back to Warnock. The positional matchups have changed, and Allen takes advantage, finds. I thought he was about to find Dryden for the score, but full extension seems to have cost him a blow to the solar plexus. And I would not be surprised to see Nate have to take one.
Well, the Nate fan club in our live chat is not going to be a happy bunch to see him come off of the field. But you cannot say the man did not give it all. Full extension stretch, trying to chase that one down, a rather ambitious put.
I just remembered from my pre-game interviews that I believe Riley Ross promised to do the gritty if he scored. He
Pray
scored.
tell. Just describe the gritty.
Oh, I'm too old to try and explain that to you. As I would know it, the Harlem two-step. Because they said to me they were the gritty, and I was like, that guy from McDonald's? Like, no, that's the griddle. And I was like, that's the thing you cook on. No, that's the grill. So I just got further and further away.
Well, it's definitely the wind chill factor is becoming considerable.
I'm wearing full waterproof clothes while the sun is shining.
It's not shining on us, sadly.
So, SMOG, as Bristol come out themselves. This does actually look like a zone.
Oh, yeah, this is...
Oh, there's the interception! Callahan! Incredible stuff, James Sully. Well set up. The trap laid, sprung. Scored.
I mean, to be honest, someone in the live chat, and we're going to give you the creds you're due, Patrick Ward, Paddy, Sully carrying this O-line so far. I think he heard you, Paddy.
Carey decided, you know what? I'm not even going to let them try and throw this away. What's the quickest way to catch the disc in the end zone?
Well,
You'll notice there, just one final thing. Not only does Sully get this, Callahan, he then plays to the camera.
I mean, the full knee slide celebration. Collier just, I don't know, he just seemed to throw on the cloak of invisibility. Maybe the wind caught the disc. Either way, great opportunity, well taken.
Go gadget extendo arms. Just reaching out and taking that one. So that is Bristol 12-10 up, and I believe, was that the horn I just heard go off in the distance?
That was indeed the hooter for time, so that's the perfect moment to get a Callahan.
It's the hooter for shooters. Time to go with deep looks.
Or to be fair, not the perfect time. The perfect time would be just after the hooter had gone for time. That would be a fantastic time to get a Callahan and then try and, go get another break of score. But this is the moment where SMOG really need to just hold on, show us their highest level of finesse ultimate. I think we've got Plant Hatley on the line as well as Tom Lees, so maybe we'll just get a immediate deep shot.
Well, Higginbotham goes under. Plant Hatley also goes under. I don't think that's what any of us were expecting, but there goes Riley Ross for the gritty. Well, I don't think that's what it was. There it is! The look of disgust I just got from Cy Hill is honestly surprising given the much worse things I've done in front of him. But big time score for SMOG. Now, if they were to walk away from this tournament, Hannah, and they were to say, we push Chevron and we push Bristol really close, that's something you could be proud of. I don't think it's something you'd be satisfied with.
Correct. I mean, it's that thing of, the whole thing of Nationals this year being 8 teams per division. This is about anyone could, in theory, win it. I think the division with the most parity is the women's division, because we've already seen Horizon beating Sick this morning. SMOG taking a win over Bristol. There's a lot of tight universe point finishes going on. Probably the division with the least parity would be mixed. There's a couple of opponents in that division who I think even the loved ones of those team members are going, you know what, we probably won't see you in semi-finals. However, the balance between the two is the open division, and it gives you that hunger. As we mentioned earlier on in the game, I think SMOG have got a couple of folks that are more established, the faces that we know and love to see. You've got Williams, Glasspool, Lees. They are missing a couple of people, though, who have moved across to Chevron in recent years.
As we see, that one almost dropped by Tidswell. He stays not with it for very long. There's the turnover. You can hear those northern voices rising from the sideline.
Well, this to bring us to Universe against the wind, Lorcan.
Ross. They would have the wind. That's an excellent observation. Ross thinks about launching it deep immediately. Decides to keep that dancing throw on. Keep it simple. There's the leading pass all the way down the line, taken in by Williams. And then nobody cuts for him. Then 2 people cut up the line for him at the same time. And he's forced to launch it. He's looking, but there's no one in space.
How did that work? That was such bad offense. Nick Williams with an amazing high stall situation throw. After everybody, the theme of this game for SMOG, cut each other off.
I'm just going to, hold on, let me cut you off there, Hannah. So I think the theme of this game is just take a breath.
Just loz it, mate. Clearly, the theme is just absolutely bang it. We've seen another turnover, a relatively unforced error from Bristol's O-line again. And this time, it's been the theme of the second half. Bristol kind of getting punished when they're making some of these errors. They have been much cleaner. But wow.
Wow, indeed. Big time grab from Jacob Holmes in a big time moment as they go to Universe for the second time in their pool today. First against Chevron, now against Bristol. What's going to happen? Well, there's only one way to find out, and that's to stay with us here on ULTI.TV. We'll be back after these short messages. It is 12:12.
Quote from the live chat, Ryan Bouchard. Your opponents can't know what you're doing if you don't know what you're doing.
That quote taken from the cutting room floor of Sun Tzu's Art of War.
Well, definitely in the earlier stages of this game looked like it was Bristol that were going to get through on a sloppy O-line performance, but their D-line really pushing to the fore. But it's going to be the O-line that are going to have to seal the deal for the Rats if they want to take this win in the pool stages here at UK Nationals.
Let's see if they can. Big pull, big moment. Here's hoping for some big plays. Dryden, Warnock. And you can hear those Northerners roar. And somehow Allen saves that. I think Vasa would have got there as well. So much pressure from SMOG, but Bristol able to fight through. And there's the shot from Warnock. He wants Tidswell. I don't think he wanted 5 white jerseys as well, but that's what he got. And that's what you get. There's the turnover.
Oh, I mean, we've seen some throws go up with air underneath them, but I think that might have been, unfortunately, the worst of the bunch.
Well, if there was ever a way to play out this game's universe point, it had to involve at least one of those. Big leading pass, nicely taken in by Ross.
There's going to be an injury call. I think we might have some cramping going on. Is that Tempest? I saw a 4 on the second number of the shirt.
I think it is. That's a big loss.
Oh, that is. He's been having a game so far.
Oh, look at that now. First off, I like the fact that Chris Allen helped him off, and then I really like the fact he got a piggyback.
Yeah, that's very...
Nothing funnier than grown men being given piggyback rides.
Oh, no, it's so cute. It's the cutest vibes ever. He will be replaced by Tom Lees, one of the longest standing members of the SMOG side.
And Warnock taking the opportunity to step off as well. He'll be replaced by Dan Hron.
Oh, it's tense.
Ross, disc in hand. Gets back to Lees. Lees launches. He's looking. Waiting. Tidswell's there, but he's been too far away, and it's collected for the goal! Jacob Holmes brings it home!
Oh, Lorcan, when that disc went up, I literally was just like, that's good. That's a really good. I need to shut my mouth and let that picture go. What a huge throw to finish us off. Oh, wow. Well, that was just a lesson, wasn't it? I mean, you really have to hand it to SMOG for their O-line. Way more consistent throughout the course of the entire match, but especially the end of that second half. They had, how many clean holds in a row is that? That is 3 clean holds and 2 clean breaks to finish us off here. Well, taking a leaf out of the book of the women's team in the last slot. That was just all about coming through strong, building on your performance in the second half. We're going to get out of here, though. That was great defense in the later stages. And Tom Lees, yellow. It was all yellow indeed. We'll see you on the other side for our final matchup of the day here at UK Nationals. As we see the celebrations once more for your enjoyment. It's going to be a mixed division roundup, Heck versus BN1. But for both of us here in the booth, it's been a pleasure. We'll see you for the next one.
Thank you. Thanks.
Yeah, Ultimate.
ULTI.TV.
There's no denying what we want. There's no denying what we want. Playing games now. There's no denying what we want. There's no denying what we want. Playing games now. There's no denying what we want. There's no denying what we want. Playing games now. There's no denying what we want. There's no denying what we want. Playing games
There's no denying what we want. There's no denying what we want. Playing games, no. There's no denying what we want. There's no denying what we want. Playing games, no. There's no denying what we want. There's no denying what we want. Playing games, no. There's no denying what we want. There's no denying what we want.